Every time I start streaming, it's always muted. Every single goddamn time. Root of all beers knows the struggle. The struggle. Hi, everybody. Hey, there's like 13 people in here already. That's crazy. Wow. We've grown. Our community is growing, and it's super exciting. If you are new, welcome. Welcome to Let's Prep Community Workshop, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Unconquered. Oh my God, so many things to start out with. Well, first of all, I have so many to-do items from last stream that I don't even know what to do with them. I have to like start a Notion workshop. I have to schedule that sometime. I have to like, we hit affiliate, which is whatever, but like we have to like set that up. I don't know what that means, but I'll do that at some point, I guess. Like I said, I'm not really here to make money. I just want to do this because it's fun and I have a job. It's fine. But I'm super excited to be here tonight because we're following up. It's our first like follow-up community workshop stream, which is super exciting. What else do I have to do? I have to like retune my audio to not be so close to the microphone because I realize I'm kind of a yelly person. So I got to do that. Hey Noah, nice to see you. We've got some veterans here. Like we're starting to build the core of a community here that is like dedicated and interested in being collaborative creatively, and that is so fucking cool. I love it. And I'm just really happy that you guys are here. So I'm super, super, super happy. I know I need to update my Discord. But you know what? It's still not like crazy active. We don't need more than one channel, aside from maybe like an FAQ channel or something. But I know Root of All Beers is like on the Discord train and he wants me to improve it, and I will, I promise. But I have a full-time job, you guys. I can't do this all day long. As much as I would love to. But yeah, there's so much other stuff to do. We're going to start out with a question. Are all streams going to be in these time slots? Sitting in the EU is deadly for me. Oh, that's true. No, they don't have to. Although if 12 o'clock PST and 7 p.m. PST don't work, here's the question I would throw back at you. Because I do want to, do this with European users as well. What Pacific time zones would work for someone in the EU? So you let me know. So quick shout outs. We'll do 3 quick shout outs. We'll go over the ethos of the stream as I always do. The veterans here know what that's all about, but I like to explain it anyway. And then we'll get started. So, and then I also had some thoughts about the process we took on last time, how we can improve it, and how I think we can do a little bit better. So first thing is that, wow, thank you, dumbass. I appreciate that. But a couple shout outs. The first is to a dear couple of friends of mine who run a company called Hancholo. They are a nerdy jewelry brand, and they just got their entire store 400, 500K worth of merchandise stolen. So, like COVID wasn't bad enough for retail shops, they got hit really hard. And they have really, really, really cool product, and I'll put their website here. You can check that shit out. I own a bunch of their stuff because it's awesome and they're really cool. So check them out. They're very nice. Another would be Nerd Strong. So if you guys are struggling to stay fit, to stay healthy in the era of eternal quarantine, which I know a lot of people are, Nerd Strong is my gym, and they do online workouts on Twitch every morning and evening. Of course, it is Pacific. But depending on if you want to do it live, you can go join them there. If you don't want to do it live on your own time, you can also go look at the past recordings. They also have like really cool online workouts that are not Twitch based. But the whole shtick is that it's gamified working out. So we roll dice, we split into teams, we will go monster hunting, we will have to like work out, and every time we work out, we get a certain amount of kills, and we have to kill monsters. Like it is working out for people like you and me who are in this, we're indoor kids. We don't, or sports. I don't know what that is. Sports ball? That's not true. I love sports, but you know what I mean. So Nerd Strong, check them out. I'm going to put that in here as well. I think it's twitch.tv/nerdstronggym. That's all I got in terms of endorsements. I don't know what you call them. My endorsement's not worth shit, but you're 9 hours behind. Anything evening wise would be great, but that would mean 12, 1, 2 p.m. Yeah, we have a 12 p.m. slot. Fridays at 12 p.m. So if that would work for you, then I think we're covered. If not, let me know and we can talk. Hey, Jimmy the Fourth, another repeat customer. How's it going, man? I think last time was your first, so I'm very excited to see you back again. Okay, awesome. Perfect. Well, I'm glad you're here tonight because I know that this is sort of like your, you know, I don't want to call it your baby because like it was like an idea that you threw out there and we all sort of own it now because we worked on it together. But, you know, you're the progenitor of it, and so I'm glad that you're here to see it finished. So cool. Yeah, I'm happy to have everybody back. I'm really, really excited. Let's see. Check. All right, last thing to do is like we're just going to talk about ethos again. Sorry for all the old hands that have heard this a million times, but I'm just going to keep saying it. This stream is about prepping D&D and being creatively collaborative. I am botching this compared to previous times where I feel like it's been relatively smooth. But this is all about collaborative creativity. And that's really important because most people that play this game they're not creative. Wow, I can't talk tonight, honestly. What's going on with me? Thank you for the follow, Burt Reynolds 79. Burt Reynolds, how's that? Who knew he was a D&D fan, everybody? I didn't. Let me see if I can get it together. Okay, so creative collaboration. Most people who DM or otherwise try to come up with stuff on their own, and that's fine. I DM prep a lot on my own as well. But there is a special thing about being creative with other people. There is an energy to it. There is an inspiration that you get from it. There is sort of potential that you realize that you couldn't realize if you were just working alone. And I realized that, you know, over my career as a game designer. I've worked for Disney. I've run my own game studio, which I still do currently. But that feeling of being powered on by other people's ideas and hearing those ideas, let them come into your brain, and then you just spit out something else that you were inspired. I mean, creativity is all about disjointed ideas mashing together in your brain and producing new things. So working together with someone else is awesome, especially in real time, because that stuff just gets shoved into your brain nonstop, and you just can't help but come up with more stuff. So whether you're here to lurk or whether you're here to participate, either way, it's totally fine. But what we're doing is something called Community Workshop, where we all take an idea that came from the community, something that someone was working on, something that someone had an idea for, or just was casually thinking about. And we take that and we work on it together as a community in real time. And we do two things. One is we obviously create whatever it is that we're creating, but we also, very importantly, learn together how to be creative together, because it's not all just sunshine and daisies. It's also a discipline that people learn over the long haul. There's a skill to being creatively collaborative or collaboratively creative, whatever you want to call it. You have to check your ego at the door. You have to be able to kill your own babies. You have to be not super attached. You have to disassociate yourself and your identity from the ideas that you come up with, because you're going to come up with a lot of them, and you can't be, super attached to any one of them. You have to be kind, but you have to be critical. You have to be inspirational, but you also have to be, realistic. Like, there's all kinds of things that are very, very interesting challenges, and I am super excited because, as it turns out, there are people out there that are interested in doing that together on Twitch regarding D&D, just like I love. So I'm really happy that all of you are here. That's what we do on this stream, and I'm super excited to continue with that with you tonight. So, catching up on chat real quick here for the Tower of Oblivion. Dope. Was it a Tower of Oblivion or a temple? I've just been calling it a temple this whole time. I have no idea. If it was Tower originally, I'm so sorry that I fucked that up. Okay, it was temple. Okay, good. Whew. It's 4 a.m., but it's worth it. Dude, you are a fucking hero. Wow, good job. I'm proud of you. Way to, see your own shit through. Nice. You should set up the pre-show that sets up the ethos so you can start talking right away. Oh, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. I should start I start the pre-show already, with the pre-stream screen at 15 minutes before. You just put the pre-show there. That's true. But a lot of people end up, there at 7. But at least I can get it really concise, and I can get it recorded, and then I can just hit play on that video, and then 5 minutes in we can just start. That's true. You're a genius. We'll do that. I'm gonna put that as a. Oh my god, the to-do list is getting so long, you guys. Pre-recorded ethos ahead of stream. Oh gosh, that's gonna take work. All right. saw your post on Reddit while I was prepping for my Saturday session. Well, great. Hopefully we don't interrupt your prep too much. But, I'm really happy that you're here, and maybe you'll sort of hear something and you'll be like, oh, wait, I have an idea for that. And you can just chime in, because that's how this works. And it's great. Anybody can participate. We welcome all ideas. All ideas can be good ideas, and they can come from anywhere. So I'm going to guide us through the creative process of what we're doing tonight, which is our first, like I said, continuation of a previous community workshop. So let's start there. I'm going to switch over to our work view here. All right, there we are. All right, so this is our public community workshop portal. And so previously, we've done lots of exciting things. We've worked on evolving magic items. We've worked on a shield warrior subclass that someone came up with. We worked on giant jellyfish villages and a bunch of other exotic locations. That was a super fun one. And last time, we worked on an idea from our own Unconquered in chat called the Temple of Oblivion, a Lich's Phylactery. And the idea of this one, I'll step in here, is that a great old one is losing its memory, and it hides a powerful Lich Phylactery. You, as the players, or whoever's running the adventure, enter its domain, its body, and you are being affected by the Lich's corruption on that great old one's body. So the themes here are things like memory loss, disorientation, things changing location mechanically, players remembering things that they forgot, which is obviously things that they didn't know at all. But this one's a pretty trippy one. It's pretty crazy, and it's cool. It's really unique, and I haven't ever played a dungeon like this or heard of a dungeon like this. So I'm really excited to continue. So where we left off previously is we essentially broke up the creative process into blue sky brainstorm periods and refinement periods. So the idea was, blue sky is all about, no bad ideas, energy. It's about inspiration. It's about all ideas are good ideas. Let's just hear everything that we can possibly come up with and then be inspired off of that. Because you never know that, even if the crazy idea that you say isn't going to be a real option for something we want to lock in, it might spur someone on to have an idea that is something that is valuable. So you want to keep the energy going, and there's no bad ideas in blue sky. And then we split it into 5 minutes of refinement, which is sort of the opposite. It's okay, let's think about what fits in within our constraints creatively, what really feels like it fits in with the vision of what we're trying to build. I don't know why you're chugging, man. There might be a technical issue on your end that we can work on together if you want to message me after stream. But I have no dropped frames on my end. And so, if anybody else is seeing anything, let me know, because then I can always drop my bitrate settings and stuff. But right now, it seems like it's all working okay on my end. So just let me know if anyone else is having issues. Otherwise, maybe try watching on your phone with, cell service instead of Wi-Fi. I don't know. Unconquered's got you. He's got you. Okay, so right. Okay, so what we came up with last time is we came up with some sort of key elements. The first is we wanted an overall theme, both thematically and mechanically. So we came up with both of those, and you can see right here. I will rearrange this for you. Okay. And I should probably zoom in so you guys can see it as well. Hopefully that's good. Yeah, I did see that Twitch was right, but you could potentially watch it on your phone and then type on your computer. I don't know. You can figure out what works for you, but I hope you get that figured out, because we would love to have you contribute, because your contributions were awesome last time. I think you had the most oh my god, that's so cool replies in chat that I've ever seen, which is great. So like I said, we came up with some really critical things. We came up with security measures for the phylactery. We came up with a list of areas generally, which is a good thing to do when you're planning a dungeon. Just what needs to be in here. I don't know, probably, barracks and rooms and bathrooms or something like that. Not bathrooms, but you know what I mean. And that's kind of where we stopped. That's what we had time for. And I realized a couple things that, I was thinking about it over the weekend, and I tried to figure out why the refinement step of this process didn't feel as good. It felt like we were kind of struggling through it. At least I was struggling through it. And I realized it's because fundamentally, blue sky brainstorming and refining are two polar opposite processes. Not that you can't have ideas during the refinement process. You should, but their general mode of thinking is a little bit different. Also, context switching in general is difficult for most tasks. Our brains aren't super good at it. We got to like load and unload information, and we all have to do that together, which is even harder. So I think what I'm going to try this time is I'm going to just go through all of our essential elements. I want to put, a 45-minute to maybe an hour-long cap on that. But we will do a blue sky brainstorm that just doesn't stop. We're just going to go from key NPCs to encounters to monsters to ambiance. I still don't know how to say that word. To whatever else we want to do. And we'll just see how far we get in an hour. And based on that, we're then going to switch on the second half of the stream after the break into the refinement process. And from there, all we want to do is refine and make decisions. We'll have 5 different ideas for what kinds of encounters they could be. Maybe we lock in all of them. Maybe we lock in only 3 of them. Maybe we decide 2 don't fit, and that's okay. We should view all of the ideas we come up with in the brainstorm process and the brainstorm phase of things as disposable, right? Don't get attached to them. Doesn't matter if they're yours. I'm not even going to write down whose ideas were whose because it doesn't matter. Ultimately, we're all trying to get to the best version of this idea possible. And that's typically the one where, there's a lot of definitions for best. I mean, in this scenario, what's best? Nothing really. Like, one idea isn't necessarily better than the other, but you still need some kind of a constraint creatively to drive you towards an end goal. So for us, our creative constraint are our themes that we set, that will guide us overall. Now, maybe we should have set more constraints. Maybe we should have talked a little bit about the, other mechanical themes or restraints that we wanted. But I think this is fine for now, and we can always add more if we're struggling. But the other benefit of doing it this way, I think, again, this is theoretical, but the other benefit of doing this way is that we will have all of the ideas at once, which means that we will sort of have something in our heads for all of the different pieces of this dungeon, so that when we start to refine and we say, this fits, this doesn't fit, we have the whole context in our minds, even if it's not, fixed context, even if it's a bunch of ideas that maybe contradict or whatever. The point is that we'll have more stuff in our brain and we'll know more. And hopefully that'll make the refinement step a little bit easier because we'll, have some realizations about what this dungeon is, more definitions, more stakes in the ground that will help us. Because, blue sky is all about whatever goes, it's totally fine. Refinement is about, all right, we got to, we have a path, we got to stick to that path, and we'll go down that path together. So the more restrictions we can come up with or creative constraints for that refinement step, the better. So let's see. So that's how we're going to do it. So I want to modify this creative process, and we're going to say, first half, blue sky brainstorm train. Second half, refinement of all. Lock in ideas. Cool? If that sounds good to everybody, we'll run with that. Now, if you guys, another thing I want to point out, I know you guys are here to contribute ideas on the prep side and for this dungeon. Great. I want you to also think about, if you can, ideas for how we can improve our creative process, because this is a very unique thing. I don't know if anyone else has tried to do this where there's a bunch of people on chat, there's, a streamer, and we're all trying to be creative together. And so, yeah, I have some expertise. I've had a career in game design, but that doesn't mean that the way that I think it's going to work best is going to, be the way. So if you have ideas on how we can improve the process, pop them into Discord, pop them into chat, preferably Discord, because I can't keep track of it, alongside all the other shit that's coming in chat. But, think critically about how this is going and how you think it could go better, because that way you're also critically engaged in the process. Can someone tell me in chat what we work on and when? Because I'm not really getting the video in good quality. Oh, man. I'm sorry, dude. That sucks. I wish there was like an audio only option, but even then you wouldn't be able to see. Well, tell you what, Jimmy the Fourth, what you should do absolutely is on your computer, that's the link, the publicly accessible link to what I have on screen, which is the database page for our community workshop for the Temple of Oblivion. So even if you don't have, good video, pull that up. You can see, hopefully, I don't know if you can, but you can hopefully see where I am. Or at least like you'll get frames every once in a while of where we are, and you can sort of follow along that way. I would also, if you can, set your video settings really, really low as well. So, we'll see how it goes. Hello, Jesus Crust. Nice to see you. Yep. All right, cool. So you guys figure that out. Please help Jimmy the Fourth because we want his brain. We need it. We need all the brain we can get. Other than that, I think we should get started. 7:20. Time is money. Time is ideas. I don't know. Whatever. Okay. So, I think first question is for you guys. I want to make this a full page thing. Okay. The first question is, are we happy with this list of required areas? Do we feel like we've captured everything that we would want in this dungeon? I think we could probably do a little bit more. So let's start there. We'll do like a little bit of time on this, and when we feel happy with it, we'll move on. So I'm just going to set a timer for me. I think like once every 5 minutes we should check in and just say like, do we want to move on? Do we want to stay with this? And that'll be fine. Okay, cool. So areas, what we've got so far, an altar / main prayer room, which is sort of the head of the Great Old One. Well, yeah, whatever. We've got a brain, which we have set. I think we're a little confused as to whether the phylactery is in the brain or the head, or is it the brain or the heart, but I don't think it matters that much. We've got brain-like tissue, violet and black lights glowing on the surface, but essentially you're inside this Great Old One's brain, and the entropy theme is strong here. Things are breaking down around you. Maybe tissue is sort of decaying or falling from the ceiling, and shades of the past are coming in. What that means is that we had decided that the final encounter in this temple would be a kind of crazy like shades of your past as an adventurer. So the bosses that you fought in the past are going to come back as shade versions of themselves, and you'll essentially do, like a supercut of all of the things that you fought in the past with obviously modified statistics. So that's where this will happen. It's sort of the central or the climactic point of the dungeon. We never really came up with what the tomb or catacombs was going to be. So if you guys have ideas for that, I would love to hear more about what these could be. We thought maybe they could be the intestine. This might just be, a windy maze of path that ends up being a skill challenge, where, like it's not really something that they have to go through on a map, but it is something that they have to, it's like, oh, you're forgetting which way is up. You don't remember the last corner that you just turned. Roll an intelligence check to see if you can remember the way back or something like that, right? So just some kind of like a maze like situation, a maze, like a labyrinth of some kind, potentially with monsters. Maybe a skill challenge to get through it instead of a map. What do you think? How do we feel about that? Well, whatever. We're just going to keep going. If you have ideas, shout them out. Do it. Put it in chat. There's no bad ideas. Okay, so just to refresh everybody, in Blue Sky Brainstorming, which we are in right now, there are no bad ideas. If you think of something, just shout it out. Just put it out there. Even if you don't think it's a good idea, put it out there. Because once you put it out there, someone else is going to put something out there. And then we're going to build on everything that people are putting in chat. And that's how we're going to create and collaborate together. So it's not just me. Someone else had an idea for a Pit of Souls, which is the stomach of the Great Old One. It has to be crossed, which is a pretty cool exploration challenge. I like exploration challenges a lot, which is great. We talked about sacrificial chambers, potentially. We talked about sleeping chambers for cultists or some kind of shades that live there. Hallways or pathways that are just sort of blood vessels or nerves of the Great Old One. This one's cool. It's like swimming or walking against a tide of blood, potentially. Like when the heart pumps, they have to make saves or something like that. How about halls and chamber mazes that are interchangeable? 100%. 100%. I think this should absolutely be interchangeable. And they should move around independently, which is great. Could the final fight be an amalgamation of past enemies almost stitched together? Yeah, 100%. That's actually a really cool idea as well. I think we're going to put that in the Phylactery security measure because we had sort of made a final selection about what that's going to be. And we can add to that idea, which is to say amalgamation of past enemies, like a stitched together aberration of some kind. Like the Abomination from Warcraft or something like that. But let's get back to rooms. What other areas do you guys think should be in here? What about the lungs? I don't know. What about the lungs? What do you think should be in the lungs? What could be in the lungs? It could be... Like, right now we've been thinking about it in terms of what rooms would you want in a dungeon, and then what, body part could they be? Well, if you flip it and you say, oh, cool, what body parts are there, and what rooms could those be? Lungs could be the way out, which lets you out from the heart. Totally, could be. Let's do that. Could be the way out leading to the heart, which is the entrance. That would be cool. Also, like, what a cool way to enter a dungeon, right? You enter through a heart, a beating live heart, and it's like... And, like, that's a great poetic way to enter a living thing, which is really, really cool. Poetically cool to enter a beating... Wow, that was a really fast 5 minutes. I'm going to give us another 5 minutes on this one. Could they be a sort of chamber where all the avioli talk with the echoes of past adventurers misleading the players? Yeah, 100%. What are avioli? Are they lungs? Oh, they're lungs. Let's see. Enjoy the satellites. See you back in 10 minutes. That's really cool. I don't know how to spell that. Even though you've typed it right in front of me. Avioli. Speak to the players, misleading them. Our past adventurers, bitter past adventurers, corrupted by the Lich, speaking to the players, misleading them. That's cool. That's cool. Disorientation is that's like on theme, which is great. For the maze, the monsters should be something like insectoids or parasites. Possibly related to past misdeeds or sins. That's awesome. Where is that? Here we go. Insectoid or parasites. Possibly related to past misdeeds. Like that. It's cool. That would be a lot of dex saves where you fail, you move 15 feet from a D4 direction to do with the wind. Oh, yeah. That'd be pretty crazy. Lots of dex saves to save from the wind pushing you around. D4 to choose a direction. Or D8, even. If you want diagonals. Little sac that lets oxygen diffuse into the blood. Avioli. Oh, right. I've seen a lot of lung things and, coronavirus news now. I know what you're talking about. They're the ones that, like, fill up with liquid when you have pneumonia, right? Oh, what if this fucking thing had pneumonia and, like, though that liquid was sort of acidic or corrupted and you had to traverse through that? I don't know. Goo has pneumonia and its sacs are filled with Lich corrupted liquid that can harm you or explode when you're near. That's cool. Interacting with the nerves could cause some rooms to do something. Oh, that's cool. Could trigger the antibody that attacks the group we talked about last time. That's cool. Yeah. Just in general, like touching nerves or damaging them could trigger rooms to move around. Could also trigger antibody / immune system attack. That's cool. I think we should come up with, like, later on, like, what are the monsters that represent this? I also want to throw another thing in here, which is, like, Mechanically, how do rooms move around? How does that actually work? We'll talk about that later. Let's stay focused on rooms for now. I'm going to start another 5-minute timer. Touching a nerve could cause a room shift or a memory spike that could help or hinder the players. Yeah, that's cool. Oh, that's also cool. Like a memory spike. I don't know what a memory spike would be for the players, but a memory spike for the Great Old One could be cool, where like you see an apparition of it appear in front of the players, and they sort of see this like almost like the nerves are creating an image in front of the players, and the Great Old One speaks to them through it, like a magic mouth or something like that, which could be cool. It could also trigger a memory spike / recall for the goo. Or there's just some good thing that can happen, you know, like if, or like just like defeating monsters could result in a good memory spike because you're taking load off of the Great Old One's dying body. That's cool. The nerves could be used as puzzles that have to be activated to make muscles to move to open doors and stuff. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Nerves could be puzzles that have to be activated to make rooms / muscles move around. That's sick. Maybe there is not only the antibody attacking the players, but some form of infestation that lives within the dying body of the goat. Yeah, for sure. Or some kind of infestation living within the goo, for sure. I mean, I think we can attribute a lot of the Great Old One dying or decaying to the Lich's presence. The fact that there are souls being stored in this phylactery, it's necromantic, it's convoluted, it's unnatural, and it's probably corrupting this Great Old One's body. So there might be like a way to, you know, theme things around Lich's corruption or necromantic corruption inside of this body. Liver, kidneys are a bunch of riddle gates where you fail, where if you fail, you end up the pee hole, poop hole, and forced to start from the beginning. That would be pretty funny. Riddle gates where if you fail, you end up as excrement. We'll just say that. Have to re-enter the goo. Okay, we're gonna cut it off there for required areas. I think we definitely got a lot more areas, which is cool. Intellect Devourers would be a cool encounter, or other illithid like creatures. Okay, let's move into that. What if it's stuck? Oh yeah, that's a good idea. But it's too late because we're moving on. Just kidding, I'll write that down. Where would that go? Oh. Copy pasta this so we know that it's there. Okay, got it. Got it captured. All right. Cutting off that part of the brainstorm right there. No, you're okay. Okay, it's fine. This is the nice thing about only having like 20 people in chat. It's not a big deal. Players have to navigate these rooms through the bloodstream. They could have to hold their breath and fight the antibodies underwater. Ooh, that's cool. They can easily be oriented by the strong current. Righteous. I mean, that's kind of an encounter already, you know? And like I said, a lot of these ideas are going to bleed into others. Like we've already obviously had ideas for encounters, so I think we should just move on to that. But before we do, I would like for us to think quickly mechanically about how rooms are going to move around. So we've all sort of like talked about this idea with this dungeon, like, oh, like rooms can move around, they can disorient players, blah blah blah. But the question is, what does it actually look like mechanically? I think like we could use some ideation around that. I don't know why this isn't becoming part of the list, but that's annoying. Numbered list. Why are you not working? There we go. Thank you. So what do we think? How do we think that these rooms could move around? That's the question that I put to you guys. Do we think that, I'm trying to think of like how it would really work. The idea is, shush you. Let's start another 5-minute timer. The idea is that disorientation is like a critical element of this dungeon. So, I mean, let's just think about how they would move through, right? So let's say that you have a party moving through this dungeon. They enter the first room. Then they enter the second room. Great. They go from the heart to the lungs or something. And then let's say they trigger one of these nerves, or however you want to trigger a disorient, and the rooms move. The problem is that because there isn't like a video game aspect to this, I mean, we all know as DMs that like we move rooms around all the time and the players have no idea. And so like, okay, cool, the rooms moved, but who cares? I mean, they're going to go left anyway. So, they're going to see whatever happens to be there. Now, I think one way to think about it is that if they went left and then they went right and they like sort of knew what rooms were there and you gave them a map, or you gave them maybe like a couple pieces of a map that all kind of fit together, you can then change once they've been back to a place, you can change it. And then when they try to go back there, it's different. That would be only possible if that would only really make sense if there was a reason to go back to these rooms, which we haven't really come up with that. So far, this is sort of a linear dungeon, a path from the heart all the way up to the brain. So we haven't really talked about why would they go back to another room? Why would they care that its location has changed? Doesn't necessarily move around. It has to be where the characters have to go. No choice which room they're going to. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, is that like, I don't know if moving around makes sense unless they have a map. They have a physical manifestation of the dungeon, and that changes, and that matters for some reason, right? So I think for that to happen, we have to have a reason. We might have to invent a reason, or we ditch that idea entirely because it doesn't make any sense. I can't think of any other way that a room would move around that would matter. The other way I can think of, actually, you describe them entering a room, but as soon as they cross the door, you start describing another room as though they forgot the previous room entirely. That's fascinating. So every time they enter a room, they have it's a different room and they've forgotten. No, I mean, you're right. Like, memory loss is another way to do it, right? And that's totally within the confines of our brainstorm here. When rooms move, they make dead ends, thus a reason to backtrack. Oh, yeah? That's true. And then when they backtrack, they're like, wait, this isn't the same thing. The next question I have is like, all right, so the room's moved. What does it matter? Why is that a difficult thing for them to care about? Like, it feels like they would have to have some kind of physical representation of the dungeon in order for it to matter that the room's moved. And then they have to basically like rearrange. If you were doing this physically on a map that was sort of made of different pieces of paper, then have to move the pieces of paper around based on how the rooms have moved and keep track of that. Is that a chore? I don't know. Maybe. How about multiple stages of room purification, trying to pure the Lich's influence from the goo? That could be cool. Absolutely. Definitely a reason to come back. 100%. Feels like you'd have to have a reason to go back. So their fundamental understanding of the layout would be challenged. That could be what you just said. Multiple stages of room purification. Trying to purge Lich's influence. That could work. Absolutely. And maybe there is a corruption point that is a blocker, like right before you get to the brain. So even if they get all the way up to the brain where they have to end up, they can't proceed because they haven't done multiple passes of the Lich's influence. Or maybe so it's not so monotonous, the multiple stages of corruption or cleansing sort of jumps around. So like there is a corruption or multiple corruptions that are moving around the rooms, and they have to find out, okay, that's you know what? This is how it could work. It could work where if you have multiple, let's say, corruptive entities. I don't know what they're called. We'll just call them corruption shades for now. And they go and hole up in a room. And then every time things move around, they go to a different room, or they stay where they are and the rooms move around or something. But you have to basically destroy them. And if they're in a different room because things moved around, you have to be able to find your way back. And so maybe the Great Old One's body can tell you, they're in my heart again. But you have to go find your way back to the heart. Good work. Yeah, contaminant entities, sure. That hole up that camp out in rooms. They all must be defeated before entering the brain. If rooms move, they don't. Or if rooms move, they also move. So you have to keep track of where they move. Rooms move, they also move. Could be cool. Think like tiles in a chessboard. It has the entry point where they come onto the chessboard. The chessboard has several exit or progress points. Every time they move, the rooms shift. Every time they move, the rooms shift. Sometimes bad ends. Now you cannot give them a map, but then you need to describe the rooms well and memorable. If you give them a map, then it's a different matter entirely. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly. I can picture what you're going for here, but interesting. The heart could be the central highway where the valves of the heart are like doors that open and close to the different blood vessels or passages. Oh, that's cool. That's true. Heart could have valves acting as a central point for different rooms. What would they have a map of shifting rooms, and would there be a maximum room crossing to succeed automatically? Or why would they have a map of shifting rooms? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it would sort of be like a representation of their own map, you know, if they were trying to make one. Kraken or the sea monster and stomach acids. Oh, that's true. Typing from the toilet. What I meant is you can do a simple map for the chessboard and grab the rooms and shuffle them. So you know what's going on and they don't. Right, true. I actually think you can give them that map, because when you say you hear a rumbling and the rooms are shifting around, they don't know what's happened. You do, so you have a copy of it on your end and you shift things around, and then when they say I'm going to go north out of this room, you're like, cool. It's something totally different now than it was before. And that way they're like, oh shit, this map has moved here. And then they have to ask, oh, well, if this one moved here, does that mean that its connections also moved, or did they not? And that way you can sort of manipulate things as you go. So like have a map for both you and the players of tiles made of movable tiles, like pieces of paper. When the rooms move, you move your map and don't tell the players how it moved. You just tell them what they see when they go from room to room, requiring them to readjust their map. That could be cool. Welcome back, Jimmy the Fourth. Every room needs to be identifiable to an extent. Absolutely. And I think actually the whole theming of the rooms as body parts helps with that. Because immediately you can walk into a room and, you know, let's say they're in the heart. And you say, okay, we're going to go north. And a room shift has just happened. You can say, hey, you know, you see a bunch of sacks that are filled with liquid. And they're like, oh, fuck, we're back in the lungs. How'd that happen? Okay, well, fuck, move this around now. Because there have to, and then of course there has to be a reason for them to traverse back through that. So maybe how it works is they just need 2 passes. So this isn't like an endless conundrum. Pass number 1 is that they start at the heart at the beginning of the dungeon and they go towards the brain. And they find their way there, And then they get to the brain and they realize somehow that they need to go and kill these contaminant entities. And they've created this map, partially, because they've gone through the dungeon once. And maybe the dungeon moved around a couple times while they did that, so they realized what was happening. But then they have to go back through the dungeon and kill these contaminant entities, which the Great Old One says, they are in the lungs, they're in the stomach, and they're in the thing. How do you get there? Fuck, they all moved around. Shit, I don't know. We gotta figure something out. Which would be cool. I agree. I think we absolutely need a map. So let's write 2 passes through. First pass through, they get an initial layout. Fucked with a couple times. And end up in the brain where they cannot pass until they go back through and kill the contaminant entities, which are located in specific rooms that the goo tells you about. Or the warlock. The warlock, Jimmy Forth's warlock. I forgot about that guy. Yes. Awesome. This makes sense now, to me, at least. Yeah, the goo could send them visions to go fight a sickness for him. Exactly. Disgusting shit. Yeah, for sure. Jimmy, we basically came up with a way to mechanically represent and give meaning to the fact that rooms move around. Prior to that, it was kind of unclear why that was a cool mechanic. It was a cool idea, but how did it actually represent itself in the dungeon? Now we know, and that's very exciting. So, let's move on. Monsters. Let's do it. So, we're just going to come up with a shit ton of monsters, you guys. And let's see what happens. So, what I am going to do that I think will be helpful is I think we should create 2 lists, one on each side of the rooms and the monsters, and that way we can sort of like figure out what makes the most sense. So let's do this. Let's create a page called monsters. We're gonna make it full width here, and I'm gonna make 2 columns. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the required areas. We all remember what these areas are, so I'm going to delete some of the detail in there. Right? We're going to start in the heart. We can also clean this up a little bit. You guys are literally an Illithid hive mind. It's great. We literally have a hive mind that we are using as a mind to be creative. All right, just cleaning this up. Cool. All right. Obviously, we already have this information elsewhere. So are we going to jump into Blue Sky in a second here? All right. Monsters and encounters. Let's go. Hit me with ideas. What you got? We got an antibody immune system attack already. What kind of monster would that be? I don't even know. We could come up with a custom one. That could be cool. Oh, damn. Y'all were ready. A weird... Would a Grell? Oh, yeah. For sure. Grell would just make a lot of sense. Brain flamingos. For sure. Also, intellect devourers. Brain-themed monsters. Grell, Intellect, Devourers. For sure. White blood cells both see the players and corruption as invading forces will attack both. Reflavored flumps. That's cool. White blood cells. Flumps. Tight. Attack both corruptions and party. All external forces. That's cool. What if the white blood cells were also more of a sentient species? I mean, flumps are sentient, but they're sort of like the rebels in, versus the Empire. The corruption has taken over most of the body, but the white blood cells are still holding out. They're actually like a soldier force. They've got arms and legs, and they're sort of like people, but they're like, they have a captain, and they're they're like, fuck, like we are charged eternally to guard this great old one's body, but we can't. We're being driven back by this corruption. Can you help us? Could also be cool. More humanoid, spectral type forces that are like soldiers who guard the body. They have a captain. ETC and are looking for help. That could be cool. Those weird brain rats. Yep, I don't know what they're called, but we'll call them brain rats. Mucus and slimes and oozes within the lungs. That's really smart. We'll put that here. Mucus, slimes, and oozes. That's smart. Even in the stomach, you can have gelatinous cubes and stuff. Acid pits, of course. The encounter here also could be like a contracting, expanding encounter, which could be cool. Living shrooms that attack. They grow naturally in the stomach. Yep, that could be cool. Lesser undead. You could also put the living shrooms in the lungs because, there's like liquid in there, so there's an infection, and so things are growing like fungi. Lesser undead could be maintaining the things important to the Lich. Could even be killing off all the immune cells. Fuck yeah. Corruptions. Lesser undead. Other aberrations. Killing off white blood cells. Maintaining corruption. That's cool. Oozes such as stomach acid. Yep, we got that. Oozes that can be replicated every few turns as your white blood cells. That's a cool idea too. White blood cells should recognize the players at one point, kind of like a medicine. Yeah, I think that'd be a cool story turning point, right? Like, could attack players at first and then recognize them as allies like medicine. That's cool. That's a cool idea even for number 2. Only if they're helpful though. Not if they attack the walls to get through faster. True. Maybe the goo warlock could help get the immune system to leave them alone. Fuck yeah, that's a really cool idea. Lock could help bridge the divide between, or could help the white blood cells to recognize the party as allies. That's really cool. I would love to come up with like a force name for the white blood cells, something like the white bloods. That's it. Just the white bloods. No. Oh, the white bloods. Oh, I don't know. All right, cool. I like that. 2 more minutes on this. What we got? What other kinds of like, we never looked at the false hydra. I want to look at that. This is a false hydra, and Cultfire said this would be a good idea. What the hell is it? Ew. What is this? I do not understand it at all. The torso? Someone needs to summarize how this works. I feel like I've read this before, and now I don't remember it at all. Someone tell me about a false Hydra. Holy shit. This looks creepy as hell. Let me know what this is. Summarize it for me, please. It's a monster that erases you from everyone's memory when you die. Oh my god, that's terrible. Oof. If the players choose to interact with the weird entity but trying to contact them, they will see the white blood cells stop mid-attack and leave them alone, help them out. Yep. That'd be cool. Undead cells that are cancerous. Yeah, what would cancerous cells look like? Tell me what you think that is. That's wild. I'm gonna write that down. Monster that erases you from everyone's memory when you die. That sounds like it'd be awful for a small town. We also talked about mental attacks for monsters. Like, what if monsters made you forget? And so, like, what that meant is that if you already knew where a room was, and you saved on your wisdom saving throw for this monster attacking you, you had to remove that room from your map, and you no longer knew where it was. That'd be pretty cool. On the physical map, your tile would get taken away and moved. The real room would move on the DM's map. That's pretty cool. Because then you don't know where it was. And also, I like that we have like a physical thing now that like we can apply memory modifications to. Spectators. They are the form of the beholder. Oh yeah, I know what spectators are. They're cool. They're like lesser beholders. Very crazy, serve their masters. What if they're pawns of the paranoid goose thoughts? Or the Lich's pawns as well. They want to protect the goose brain. For sure. Spectators that protect the... or serve the Lich. Alhoon are CR10 illithid liches. Could be interesting. It could be an Alhoon that is the one corrupting the whole thing. I mean, we need a boss, right? I mean, we know that the boss are... oh, that's our timer. We know that the boss is the Lich, hopefully. Or maybe not. Maybe it's not the Lich. Maybe it's just those shades. But it could also be the Alhoon. Very possible. Shade of the past. By location. Cancer cells could be mutated white blood cells or undead. Thank you, Root of All Beers. I appreciate that. Yep, let's cut it off for monster ideas. Cancer cells could be mutated white blood cells or undead white blood cells. Yes, that's a cool idea. I like it. I'm going to capitalize white blood cells because I like them being like a helpful force. That's really fucking cool. I like that a lot. Okay, cool. So let's move on. What else we got to brainstorm? Continue our blue sky, blue sky. We've got monsters. I'm going to move that up here. I'm going to do some organization real quick. Page, mechanic. Forgetting rooms, moving rooms. And I'm just gonna grab this, pop it in here. And we're gonna move that up here. Our list of things that we need to figure out is shrinking, which is great. I love this adventure hook. It's super cool. How do you lay out your screen for DMing? I would be happy to show you at a later time. We're in the middle of a brainstorm, so welcome to the stream. We are trying to brainstorm together, and you should please join us, Super Writer Andy, a Temple of Oblivion, where memory and disorientation is the name of the game. A Lich has invaded the body of a dying great old one, and his body parts are the rooms of the dungeon, and his corruption is causing memory loss and disorientation. So, let's hear those ideas. False Hydra breaks through the soil. Maybe it pushes its face up through the cobblestone. Then it begins to sing. When it sings, it's ignored. It just creates gaps in your attention and slips through them. It's subtler than invisibility and more reliable. But of course, none of this is noticed while it sings. The Hydra exists in our blind spot. Ooh, this is like scary. All right, we need to move on to the next part of our brainstorm. I am going to grab Superwriter Andy's idea there, so we don't forget it. Lost Beholder wandering through the halls. Absolutely. Totes, totes, totes. All right, let's move on to key NPCs, shall we? Oh, that was a whole thing. All right, let's grab this. How do I cut it? There we go. I'm gonna make a page. Key NPCs. This should be a pretty quick one, I think. Okay, so we've got a quest giver. They meet a warlock of the Great Old One who is trying to save their patron. I think this is such a cool fucking idea. I don't know why this isn't working. Oh, it's tied together. I see. No. What the hell's going on right now? What the fuck? Page 3. Quest giver. There we go. Okay. The cultist might even be the person who sent them on the quest to destroy the phylactery. Okay, so key NPC brainstorm starting now. Putting a timer. Go, hit me with your ideas. Let's do it. Could even give the player something to help with memory loss and general craziness, which we've talked about as, you know, their white blood cell allies. Let's turn all of this into a bulleted list. When the players meet a cultist a day or two in and the cultist says they've been gone for weeks, it doesn't remember them at all. That's pretty funny. That's cool. What other NPCs do we want in here? The Goo's intangible consciousness, the Lich leader. Oh, so you're saying the Great Old One's consciousness is the Lich? That's very interesting. Other lost adventurers. I'm going to say a lost adventurer. That gives, maybe they gave hints of what's to come, but cryptic. Or misleading hints, potentially. An opportunistic... Oh, wait, nope. Leader for the white blood cells if they act militaristics. Absolutely. %. I'd like that a lot. Other lost adventures. Yep, we got that. An opportunistic paladin who thinks they could pull off a 2-in-1 purge, kill the weekend goo and the Lich. That's cool. Paladin who thinks they could kill off the goo and the Lich. Other adventurers. That's cool. We'll call this key and trivial NPCs. An old follower of the cult that through time and waning memory thinks he's following a rat god and the current cult is rubbing him the wrong way. For sure. Of the goo cult. Through time, lost memory. He thinks he is following. What's a rat god got to do with it? I'm curious. Oh, I see. You mean the current Lich's minions. Or are you saying the party? Current fall. Where does it say current followers? Oh, you were naming two. Got it. They meet other worshippers of the goo who've assimilated their bodies into the lining of the organs as an insane attempt to become with it. Oh, that's rad. Tissue liners is what I'm going to call them. I don't know. Tissue linings. I'm going to copy pasta that in here. There could be a specter that could roam around acting like a guiding light that could keep the players on track, like Virgil with Dante. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it could also be this warlock, right? We'll say just like helpful presence. And we're going to say this as well. That way it's a true blue sky. That's cool. Sorry, I got a lot to catch up on. Ghosts that speak to the party, but the ghosts are confused sometimes. They try to communicate, but they are cryptic. They are the goo trying to speak to the party. Ooh, I like that. Specters, ghosts, trying to speak to the party. I don't know why I'm like retyping all of this stuff when you guys are already typing it. That's cool. That's going to go under helpful presences. Helpful NPCs. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. I want to see the goo's consciousness to have split personalities. That could be cool. In fact, I suppose these could be part of the goo's consciousness. The goo itself is one, right? Okay, we're gonna cut it off. You want it cleaner? I don't want it cleaner. I don't care. We'll clean it up when we do the final version, you know? It's fine. Because then, like, what's the point in cleaning up all the ideas when we're gonna pick, you know, a couple of them anyway? All right. Thank you for the line. I appreciate that. I'm gonna spend the next 2 minutes just capturing all of your ideas. So hold on there real quick. A trickster that acts like it's helping the party while hindering them some way, like a virus, for sure. I'd love to know what you guys think that could be. Some NPCs that made this body their home because they like it. Maybe a small clan of lizards that like the heat and the wetness of it all. Ooh, I like that. I'm going to put down the specific idea. Small clan of lizards. Or lizard folk. Could see the great old one. Or L-ing over the place, and the party sees him every now and then, and fragments of his memories slowly start breaking off. Yeah, for sure. I think we've got that already, right? With like the shades or the ghosts that communicate with him. Let me know if there's something else you meant by that, the real Papa Smurf. Go-to is a merchant Rakshad that opens a shop in dungeons and sells weirdly useful items. I love that. That's like old school gaming stuff, man. That's cool. I like that a lot. An aboleth that is crapping its pants because things like the goos shouldn't be vulnerable to mortal creatures. An aboleth could be helpful, dishing out. True. Very true. Cultist infusion. Could be called cultist infusions. That'd be pretty funny. Khajiit has wares. It's true. This is awesome. This is a great list. Well done, guys. This is really cool. All right, cool. We got NPCs. We're gonna keep going on this brainstorm train. I think, just to save time, let's do puzzles and then let's cut it off there. Because we got to go into our refinement step, and if we feel like we're done and we have time, we'll go into some of these other things. Like I said, I think rewards we can handle. Every DM can handle that on their own. The adventure hook as well. I think the DM would want to sort of figure out what that is. Although I guess we should include one. So that's fine. But we have one for now. Let's do puzzles and special encounters. But before we do that, it is time for... Well, is it time for a break? Let me see. Okay, yeah, it is time for our break. So, everybody, thank you for sticking with me for the first hour. We have come up with a lot of cool shit. What we will do when we come back is we will finish off a brainstorm for puzzles and special encounters. We'll put that list of locations next to it as well. And then we'll go through and we'll pick some concepts out and we'll refine them. And hopefully by the end of the stream, our goal will be to have a concentrated, sort of refined dungeon that someone can take and use. Thank you, Unconquered. Appreciate you being here. And this on Friday. I don't know. We'll see. I think it would be good to end it today, if possible, so we can move on to new topics on Friday. But I'll see you guys in about 5 or 10 minutes, and we'll resume this brainstorm when we come back. So thank you for all the ideas so far. Let's bring it back in 5. All right, welcome back, everybody. I hope you're super ready for some final brainstorming and excited for us to lock in some ideas about this Temple of Oblivion. I'm super stoked. For anybody that was like wandering off, we're back, come back. Let's have a little speed change on that music. All right, so just to remind everybody, we are in the middle of a blue sky brainstorm. That means that there are no bad ideas. It's all about energy. It's all about inspiration. It's all about feeling the vibe. It's all about sort of putting ideas out there that may not work, but you don't care. All that matters is that the ideas get out there. They inspire others for new ideas. And as we bounce ideas back and forth, we will uncover something really, really good. So the last thing we need to brainstorm is puzzles and special encounters, things that really set this dungeon apart and provide some memorable things. I think we've already talked about a couple possible special encounters, but remember, these are not monsters. These are not bad things that are in there necessarily. These are more just like, what are some cool puzzles? And remember our theming. Remember that our overall theme is that a great old one has lost its memory and is hiding a powerful Lich Phylactery. Memory loss, disorientation are all symptoms not only of the great old one, but also of the adventurers as they step into this corrupted environment. So things are constantly moving around. Things are being forgotten. Things are being remembered. What kind of cool puzzles can we come up with for this? Let's begin. So previous ideas that we've had for this were traps and unintuitive dangers, the temple itself being the threat. What does that mean? Well, unintuitive makes sense because disorientation and memory loss are sort of the name of the game. So it would be pretty cool, I think, if you had traps that were rememberable. Like for a room that you have been to before, or maybe even for a room that you have never been to before, the party might be able to roll a memory check, roll an int check, to see if you remember a trap. If you don't, it's much harder to avoid. I wouldn't want to say that it just automatically triggers because that's pretty harsh, but it would be cool to see if they remember things. Now, the one thing about... Well, never mind. I'll save that for the refinement step. Effects happen to them that they can't remember. Oh, shit, we've got a lot in here. A thematic effect. Lich drains / erases memories to fix their own. That could be cool. They had an NPC all along that they forgot about. That's really cool. Thrust into a room they've been into before that they haven't actually been to because they forgot. That'd be cool. So this encounter could be, this puzzle could be something like there are hints inside of the... What happened to my camera? Focus. Here we go. There could be like markers in this room that if they're inspected, they can trigger an intelligence check or a memory check that can tell you something critical about the room. So, inspectable or investigatable markers or tokens in the room that can be examined to trigger a memory check, which slowly allows the party to piece together the solution to some kind of gate. Would be cool. How about in the heart room, forces the characters to relive an event they wish to forget. Ooh, that's cool. I like that. Forced to, in the heart entrance, they are forced to relive an event they wished to forget. Opened treasure chests and gear on the PCs they don't remember getting. That's fucking cool. Open treasure chests and gear on the PCs that they don't remember getting. That's very cool. Dead baddies who've been looted. Some of this stuff is more like ambiance and flair. I want to put that here. But remember, we're thinking about puzzles and encounters. So what kind of cool puzzles, what kind of cool encounters can the players experience because of that? Ooh, cursed gear. I like that. Put that down. Cursed gear on the players they don't remember putting on, but now have to deal with. Any bad effect? What's some cool bad effects of cursed gear that could lead to a cool encounter? Maybe like the inability to move from room to room, and you have to fight it or something. I don't know. A mirror maze. That's cool. How would the mirror maze work? And what was your sort of vision for how that would relate in? In the stomach, it shows the character's greatest temptation, like gluttony. Ooh, that's a good idea. Shows greatest temptation. Gluttony theme. The players have to resist. I like that. Soul Room. 3 treasure chests with the weapon the players want the most. And picking up the weapon triggers a damaging trap. 100%. Yeah, we'll just put this under like a temptation sort of thing. Stomach, question mark? That's pretty cool. The to get to X keys in their gear. That's cool. Gear holds to get to X key, and they just don't know it until they look. That's cool. Could put it there. You just could like literally slide it into their inventory in D&D Beyond. That would be crazy. Cause blood clotting wherever you... Oh, sorry, I forgot to put a timer. Do that. We'll put another 2 minutes on this. Okay. Cause blood clotting whenever you are for a cursed effect. A blood clot would slow them down significantly. That's cool. I like that. Blood clots throughout the body that slow them down significantly. Cause strength checks, etc. That's cool. Curse of the Mad Ally. Roll a d8, and if it rolls a 1, you attack the closest ally instead. That's cool. Roll a d8, and if it rolls a 1, you attack the closest ally instead. Which door in the hallway isn't a mimic? I like Super Writer Andy's stuff, man. It's like very like old school gamey stuff. It's super fun. That's an iPhone 8 or newer, right? What? I don't know what that means. Oh, this. Yeah, this is a iPhone 11 Pro. The mirror maze could show reflections of either the goo's desires or players, be it false or real. Requires one to either embrace their desires or they could shatter the mirror, moving them forward. Cool. That's cool. Of desires, could embrace it or shatter the mirror to move forward. That's cool. Oh, it's okay. It's like fast enough to move images. I just have to click start. Cool. I like it. There's also a whole like entropy section here. I don't know why this didn't. Oh, cool. Rooms can change location. All right, we're cut off for puzzles and encounters. I'm just gonna go through the last couple things here. The rooms can change location. Rooms change as you're in them. Branching paths. Oh, this one was so cool. Fuck, we didn't get to the rest of this. All right, we can take 2 more minutes. Branching paths. Yes. Oh, I guess we kind of already figured that out with the previous brainstorm. Temple falls apart via V progression. That could be cool. Maybe that's something that can happen. could happen while they're on their way back trying to kill the corrupted shades. The goo has fragmented memories floating around. Piecing them together could reveal a secret or important piece of info. That is fucking awesome. I love that. That's really cool, dude. That's really cool. I'm just gonna... Okay, cool. I like it. All right, so thank you all for your ideas. And we're going to now flip our mode into refinement. So what I'll do is I'll turn this into a page as well. Puzzles and encounters. Where'd it go? There we go. And we're going to take all of this content. And we're going to stick it into this page. Boom. It's called Notion, and I love it. It's my favorite tool in the world. It's basically a wiki, essentially. So you can see that it's got lots of different pages in it. Here's my D&D prep database for my Storm King's Thunder campaign. You can click on things. You can have databases inside of it. You can have things inside of your databases, like pages that have different kinds of blocks, like to-do items and bullet list items. It's an awesome tool. I'm actually going to be... Yeah. I'm actually going to be holding a Notion workshop where I just talk about the benefits of Notion, and we can sort of talk together about how that works. So if you're interested in that, join the Discord, which I need an invitation link for. I always forget to have another Notion page up here. I have that link in a second. I know, I don't have a chat bot. That's how fucking new this stream is. I don't even have a chat bot. But now I know I need one. But thank you for trying. I'm your chat bot. There you go. So drop in the Discord and I will announce when we do our Notion workshop then. Okay, so now what we've got to do, we've got about 20 minutes left, and we've got to, like, basically rapid fire make decisions. And this is going to be hard. It's going to be hard for us to pick what we want to do quickly. So our guiding light, as we do this, we're going to go through each of our brainstorms, and we're going to start highlighting in color what we solidified. And then I can go in later, or we can, at the end of the stream, consolidate it into one thing. The idea is going to be use the theming. So the overall theme, memory loss disorientation, use that to refine. Use the mechanical theming, which is things are constantly changing. Players are remembering things they forgot. But I think what's even more valuable than refining is coming up with more constraints. Because frankly, I don't believe, just thinking about what we've come up with so far, I don't think that these themes are enough by themselves to give us to make it easy for us to refine. Because, for example, let's go through the monsters. Look at all these monsters. They are all themed according to our chosen themes. And that's cool because it means that we had a cool creative constraint that we could use to come up with awesome ideas, but that doesn't help us refine. And so what it's going to end up being is sort of what I was struggling with in our last session when we tried to do refinement, which was, it was arbitrary, or it was like my preference or something, and I don't want it to be that. I want it to be, a more logical process than that, something that's really based on constraints. So I think we actually should just spend time talking about that, right? Let's brainstorm ways on how we can, because we can use this as a sort of like a case study, So this case study is, we have a ton of ideas and they're all on theme. How do you decide which ones are the ones you want to keep? I don't know. And this is the kind of thing that I want to do on the stream more, Thanks, Jimmy the Fourth. It was great to have you. I love your ideas as always. I hope to see you next time. But when you're talking about a stream like this, which is a collaborative, creative stream, right? Like we're being creative together. We're coming up with a ton of ideas. You have to have a process by which you can bring those ideas and rein them in. Because I think the Blue Sky Brainstorm part is the easy part. That's the part where we just come up with a ton of ideas. But how do we actually get them to be refined? I don't know. I don't have an answer. I guess if I think about how I've done that in the past on games that I've worked on, and I would love to hear your ideas as well. So please chime in and chat if you have ideas on how to approach this. We came up with design pillars, and that allowed us to define a vision for the product or the game that basically that vision then acted as your filter. And you could say, this idea is cool, but it doesn't fit into the vision that we've created, or it doesn't fit into the pillars that we've created. Pillars meaning stakes in the ground, firm principles that we believe we should adhere to when we are generating ideas, or more accurately, refining ideas. So I think we should maybe take some time to put some stakes in the ground. And that way, in theory, we should be able to refine very quickly if we've done a good job of laying those stakes in the ground. So instead of this, technique number, whatever, X that I've, told you guys about, let's define some pillars. Because we've got themes, but what are our pillars? So let's do that. And we're going to add into this, need pillars to define and constrict creative vision. How does this relate to the players you're playing with a pillar? What? How does this relate to the players you're playing with a pillar? I'm confused by the... Oh. You're asking if the players that I play with, or that whoever is going to be playing this with, are a pillar? They could be. I think it's more accurate to say that your pillars can be inspired by the things that your players like. So if your players really like, combat, you can say that, all right, this dungeon has to be like the majority combat. And that's a pillar. That's a perfectly valid pillar. We're designing this in a community environment, so we don't have specific players in mind. Therefore, we'll allow those, obviously all the ideas are here. So if a DM wanted to come in later and pick out the ideas that felt good for their party, they could do that. They could define their own pillar based on their party, and they could say, yeah, cool, this is going to be the defining thing for me. I'm going to go through these ideas, and I'm going to filter them out again. But for us, we can't do that. We don't have, a player base that we want to target. So let's come up with some other pillars that I think we could pull from anything, just preferences that we have. A lot of times pillars are inspired by the medium that you're in, or the platform that you're building for, or the goal of the dungeon. I think it's also possible that we leave it where it is. We leave it as a big list of ideas, and people can come in and look at all the ideas and decide for themselves what kind of Temple of Oblivion they want to make. I would like, though, for us to choose things so that if someone just wanted to wholesale pick it out of our community workshop and use it, they could. So let's define some pillars just so we can go through the exercise of doing that together, because I think that's valuable. I think we'll learn a lot about, we'll further our knowledge of being creative together by doing this. So what are some pillars that you guys think would help us constrain this? I think for me, I wouldn't want this dungeon to go more than 2 or 3 sessions. I think spending that much time in a dungeon is a really long time. So I think based on that, we can say that one pillar maybe that the dungeon cannot have more than 3 mandatory combat encounters. Or maybe, yeah. Maybe a better way to phrase that pillar is the dungeon has to have a balance. Let's say it has to have 3, because we want to restrict, right? The dungeon has to have 3 exploration encounters, 3 puzzles, 3 roleplay encounters, and 3 combats at most. So to keep things, pacing is, I don't know what the right way to do this, but the dungeon can only have 3 of each type of encounter. Puzzle? Ooh. This can be a full-length thing. Puzzles, special encounters, combat, roleplay, and exploration. Okay, so that's useful. What other pillars can we think of? What other constraints? Let me ask you guys. Let's take it to chat. What kind of constraints do you guys typically set for these dungeons that you like to build? What are some things that you use to sort of rein in your ideas? Might be a bit late for this, but how similar should the goo be to human anatomy? If it's some greater creature, should it be more complex? It's a good question. I think that's something that, based on the stage we're at in the brainstorm, we sort of already laid everything out. I think that's something that I thought of as well. I did, like, in the back of my head think, like, would this really be like arms, legs, torso, heart, lung, chest, But that's sort of where we went. We didn't have any other ideas for what kind of complexities it might have. I think if you are, taking this dungeon and for your own, you could design it in a way that it's more complex or more interesting than human anatomy. For example, you could say that your great old one is more of a Cthulhu type creature and it's got 8 tentacles. And now you've got physically a hub layout for your dungeon. That's totally possible. I think you could totally do that. I think that's awesome. I want to write that down. I'll put it in the required areas. Idea could also be a non-humanoid structure like tentacles, etc. I usually add an element of mystery or oddity. Like, I once did a Mothman-like thing, and it was interesting and intriguing for each of our players. For sure. I think that's a good one. I mean, I think we already have that, right? We already have this idea of memory loss and disorientation. We've come up with a cool way of moving rooms around underneath players when they're not expecting it. So I think we've got that. I think that is a pillar. There should be an element of mystery that keeps the players on their toes. I think that's true. I think I'm going to make these to-do list items. Not that that's what pillars really are, but I think we've done that one. Could we flavor it as a giant or something? Yeah, totally. You can do whatever you want with the body of the thing. What other pillars can we use? Let me put it in a different context for you guys. Look at all these ideas. These are really cool. How do we choose between these ideas? You can't have everything. I mean, you can, obviously. You can do whatever you want in the dungeon that you make. But for our dungeon, how do we choose what we want? Here's a cheat way to do it in absence of pillars. It's kind of actually what we talked about. But we just pick a number. We just say we're going to pick the best 3 monsters that, we vote on. Works for me. Some sort of time limit, maybe something like we have 2 or 3 days / sessions to save the goo, keeps the players moving forward, but also gives them some time for puzzles, combat, encounters. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I was saying earlier of like time. I wouldn't want this dungeon to go too long, so that's sort of where I came up with this, which is you can only have 3 of each type of encounter, assuming that you want to have something combat, something exploration, something RP in every session. That gives you a max of 3 sessions because you have 9 things. Hopefully you don't do 2 combats in 1 session, but whatever, right? So I agree. I think that's this first pillar is all about pacing and time. Time stuff is always stressful, especially for my players. I always feel a pressure, something coming that makes them move forward. True. Sometimes you want that, sometimes you don't. That's totally up to you and your party. All right. Just so we can move on, I'm going to say from the monsters list, let's choose 3. Some sort of pressure should keep the party going. That's true, actually. I think we actually have some of that already. We have, like, wandering monsters that keep attacking the party. So I think we've got some kind of pressure in that sense. If you have ideas for other kinds of pressure, let me know and we'll write them down. How much of this planning do you use in video game making? A lot. A ton. When you're making a video game, you have a lot more time than, 2 2-hour streams to design things. So we when I'm designing a video game, we take a lot of time. We spend a couple days on our pillars. We talk about what's important to us. We talk about what's important for the product. We talk about what's important for the audience. We talk about the unique constraints and the goals of this project, and we define our pillars. Then we start to flesh out the rest of the game, and honestly, it's a very organic process. You're always brainstorming new solutions to problems that you didn't even know existed at the start. So there is a constant brainstorm process happening. Brainstorm, refine, brainstorm, refine. It's happening when you make video games. Adds to the memory aspect, keeps their party on the toes. Yeah, for sure. Maybe they lose 1 int per long rest inside, kind of like mechanically showing them losing their memories. Wow, that would be really harsh. Could be, though. Totally could be. All right. So here's what I'm going to say. We're going to pick 3. So we're just going to say call out. We picked the top 3 based on community choice. You can use whatever you like from the list. Right? So, speaking of monsters, homebrew monster I recommend if you want something beholderish and a theme of lungs, I would use the Mad Trip. Yeah, link it. We'll put it in here. 100%. Happy to insert more monsters. Okay, so what monsters do we think are the best ones? We've got a custom antibody monster. We can clean it up now so we can vote. But homebrew antibody monster. Brain-themed monsters. I think brain-themed monsters we can leave aside. I think I'm going to just executive decision here. One, I think white blood cells absolutely have to go in the game. I think they're super cool. I love this idea of humanoid / spectral type forces. So I'm just gonna go ahead and color this one orange. So now that we have initially dangerous and then helpful white blood cell things walking around, what else do we want to... What are the other 2 that fit well with that? I think we need something more dangerous for a wandering monster. I think corruptions make a lot of sense. Lesser dead, other aberrations, killing off white blood cells, maintaining corruption, cancer cells. I think that makes a ton of sense. You guys support that choice? I'll mark that for now. You can tell me if you think there's something better. Should we define what the main combat areas are, like the brain, the heart, the stomach? We did. If you look here, the monsters are organized by location to some degree, or there are new ideas by location. We also put a page here called required areas. And this is a list of the areas we thought encounters could happen. Oh, sure. Yeah, we can do it by location. Where would the white blood cells be? Probably the blood vessels in the pathways. They find them in the pathways. That'd be cool. Yeah, could do that. I'll just drag that in there for now. We got Shades of the Past and the Phylactery already, so that's not part of the 3. That works. I want to move this out and put it. Hallways. I want some air elementals in the lungs. That's a good idea. That makes a ton of sense. That makes a lot of sense. I like that a lot. What else? I think the corruptions can sort of be everywhere, but you know what? You're right. I think Pickled Bad Eye, to your point, we should maybe define for each of these locations. Maybe that's a good way to refining it. What is for each of these critical locations, what is a monster that might be in there. Now, not everything has to have a monster. So the Labyrinthine Catacombs, I think, don't need a monster. We'll mark them gray. The brain is taken care of, so we'll mark that. You know what? I'm going to turn this into a to-do list. Turn into to-do list. And this one will turn away from a to-do list because it's not one. We'll just say it's bulleted list. Sleeping chambers probably doesn't need. We'll turn that gray as well. And that way we can sort of like pick monsters that go into the areas we want combat. Thank you, Pickled Bad Guy. That is a useful suggestion. So that's another lesson, I guess, is that when we're refining, if we can start to organize and we can start to make sure that things that need things have those things. So rooms that have combat have the monsters that are going to have the combat. I think that's great. So for the lungs, what do we think is the best idea here? Vote 1, 2, or 3 for mucus and oozes, living shrooms, or enraged corrupted air elementals. My vote is for the air elementals because that's super cool. Word. I like it. It's tight. Makes a lot of sense. So that's done. Blood vessels are done. Brain is done. What else? What else? We need something in the heart. Not necessarily. The heart could be something that doesn't need one at all. I think the stomach, though, we should talk about those. We've come up with gelatinous cubes and acid pits. We've come up with a contracting or expanding encounter in the stomach. I think that goes more in the puzzles and encounters section. Monsters. Monster icon. A giant acidic tapeworm. That's really cool. What do we feel like is the best idea for stomach monsters? Is there anything else in here that could be... What else? Well, we said we wanted only 3 combat encounters, right? That's one. That's not really going to be one. That's one. Yeah, flavored worm or purple or a carrion crawler, totally. I love that idea. All right, let's do a vote for stomach ideas. 1, 2, or 3. Gelatinous cubes, living shrooms, or giant acidic tapeworm. Vote. 1, 2, 3. Organize. Oh, that's funny. I don't have to fucking make these gray at all. Because Notion does that for me because it's amazing. Now they're going to be 2 gray. So I got to ungray them. All right. What are our votes? 3, 3, 1. End of the dungeon is the best place for the last fight. Yeah, the brain is the end of the dungeon. So that's the last fight. That's the Shades of the Past with the Phylactery. All right. 3 is the winner. So we'll take that out. All right, done. Cool. So we've got 1 encounter, kind of 1 encounter, and 3. So that's like 2.5 encounters. It would be cool to use these corruptions because it keeps our Lich theme intact. So I think just for... I'm going to put this here. Corruptions, killing off white blood cells. I like the idea of lesser undead or mutated white blood cells, you know? Mutated white blood cells. Or just lesser undead. That's cool. All right, I think we're done. We'll just color this orange as well. Liver or kidney? I don't think we actually had like a... What was the liver and the kidney? Do you guys remember? Look it up. The liver and the kidney were riddle gates. If you fail, you end up as waste. That's pretty funny. Well, that's just riddle gates, so that doesn't need a monster necessarily. Corruption could also be ambient. I think it should be both. I definitely think it should be both. Cool. Sick nasty. We're going to convert all of this into bulleted lists. Also this. No. Okay. Why didn't it convert these? Odd. Convert. Oh, I see. Only does the top layer. It's a weird behavior. There could always be drug-like enemies in the liver and lungs or something even as a corruption too. Yeah, totally. Totally. All right. Just going to mark that one done because that one's going to be riddle-based. And we don't have one for the altar or the prayer room, but we've got our 3. So our pillar helps us. Also, our structure helps us refine, which is great. Cancer cells would be a good encounter to help to kind of keep the party's main goal in mind. Maybe not in actual combat, but something they find while exploring, like seeing dead innocents. That's a good idea. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a cool encounter or puzzle. Seeing cancerous cells that have died are like seeing dead innocents, minding the players that who is dying. Cool. All right. Running out of time here, but we're almost there. Everything should fit into the themes we picked. True. Okay. So what else do we have to iron out? We already picked stuff here. We have a final selection there. We've pretty much said, yeah, all of these are going to be in here, so this is fine. We'll just say that all of these are locked in. Easy enough. Monsters we just did. Mechanic for moving and forgetting rooms. This automatically gets approved because we have no alternatives. Hey, there's a brain icon. All right. That's done. Key and trivial NPCs. Okay, cool. So I think we should probably restrict this to the top 3 that we like. So just to go through them real quick. The Great Old One himself. I think this one's like doesn't even count as a top 3. That's got to be in there, you know? And I like the idea of ghosts speaking to the party. That they sort of like try and communicate hints, because this gives the DM a way to drop hints at times that are convenient for the party. So I like that a lot. But I don't think that counts towards our 3. I think because we've chosen white blood cells in the other monster category, having a leader for them and like a single point person or a point NPC for that group is important. So I think that also counts for free. The Lich leader, I don't know if he has to be in there. I think he could be, the Lich himself. But he could also not be. I think this depends on whether you want a Lich in your thing. So I'll leave that white for now. And I think DMs can decide, yes, I want the Lich to be there, or no, he's better as a background threat. I think the Warlock of the Goo is a fucking great idea. I think we all like that one, from what I could tell previously. So I think we should lock that one in. We'll actually lock these in. Yellow is an optional is good. I like that. If you want. Shove a joke fly NPC that would buy waste off the party if they're disgusting enough to keep some. I like it. That's pretty funny. What other ideas do you guys like out of here? Let's say that we want to have like 2 more NPC types. What do we want in here? Like the Warlock, that should be the one that is controlling or ordering the white blood cells. The goo is pretty much incapacitated. The Warlock is trying to keep the goo alive. Yeah, absolutely could be. Absolutely could be. Put that in there as an option. Make that yellow. We'll say the legend orange, a locked in option that the community chose. Yellow is an optional take. Key, the legend. Okay. Let's get back to NPCs. Let's pick 2 more things here. So, other adventurers, lost adventurer 2 that gives misleading hints, an opportunistic paladin, an old follower of the cult, tissue linings or cultist infusions that have assimilated in, insanely trying to become one with it, trickster that's helping the party while hindering them in some way. I think we need more detail on that one. So, whoever came up with that one, give me like a specific idea. Small clan of lizards. I like this one a lot. I think that's really funny. I like all 3 of these a lot, actually. A rival goo that's trying to poach the dungeon's goo's warlock. That's crazy. All right, here's what we're going to do. Oh, that's not what I meant to do at all. All right. You have 7 options. Vote for 2. And I'll throw my vote in as well. 1 through 7. We just got to pick. Give me your votes. I'll make this bigger. No votes? All right. 1 and 2. 4 and 5. Okay. One vote. 1 vote. 1 vote. 1 vote. 2 votes. 1 vote. My vote are gonna be. I pick 2. I like this one a lot. And I like this one a lot, actually. I think there's enough like interesting encounters or NPC encounters in the other things. 1 and 3. Cool. All right, so far our leaders are other adventurers, a rival goo trying to poach the warlock, a merchant that opens up a shop and sells weirdly useful items, be whatever race you want him to be, and a joke NPC that would buy away stuff the party. Okay, cool. So of those, we'll sort them based on oh shit, we had another vote. Go back, go back, go back. Oh, cool. Well, that gives us one winner. All right, cool. So this is locked in. Awesome. I like that idea. It's really funny. And then between other adventurers, rival goo, small clan lizards, merchant, joke shop, I'll just pick randomly because we got to make some decisions here. Here's a D4. The answer is 4, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, it's this one. Democratic creativity. Who knew? Not bad. All right, cool. We're getting close to the end, you guys. We're almost there. Stick with me. Move these up to the top. Switch these back to bulleted. I realize this is not the fun part, but this is the useful part. We're actually turning this into a real idea someone can use. Cool. Alrighty. So that gives us our NPCs. It was a solid concept, I agree. But you gotta make decisions. It's okay. I mean, in anyone's version of this, they can always go back to the other ideas. We're not going to delete them, and they can pick because it's still there. We're mostly just doing this because, you know, a lot of times when you're making stuff, the biggest hurdle is just making a decision. Whether it's the better decision or not, it kind of doesn't matter. What matters is that you move on so that you can have a finished product. And then you can refine from there if you want to. All right. Puzzles and encounters. Hey, there's a puzzle icon. This is a lot to get through, and I think that DMs can make that decision on their own. To me, this is like enough. This is what we need. But fly. Still in there. No, the fly got chosen. I think we picked that one. I like that idea a lot. That was funny. Okay, so I think we're just gonna do some final cleanup. We're gonna erase this because we don't need it. Well, we can say that like creative process learnings. What are our learnings for the creative process? Well, I think one of my learnings were that switching between brainstorming and refining is hard. So do them separately instead of do them all at once separately instead of interlaced. Also, the context given by the entirety of the brainstorming process is useful. This was really useful for me to learn a little bit about how to run these, so thank you. What else did we learn? Fitting, sometimes to make a decision, you need to identify an arbitrary or educated number of choices to make to lock in per section. That's totally fine. Structure by sections to help refinement. Yep, 100%. Structure it by the document by sections to help refine, well, to help sort ideas where they belong. Or actually, more importantly, it's like to help provide buckets that need filling with ideas. Example, sort the list of monsters into rooms or areas that need them. Hell yeah. Nice one, Pickle Bad Eye. Cool. That's really useful. Awesome. We'll just say call out unsorted. Not unsorted. Didn't... You know, it doesn't matter. Ran out of time. Pick whatever sounds good. Woohoo! Alert. All right. Cool. Other things that this needs. Other categories. Unfilled categories. We'll just dump that in there. Question mark icon, make this all pretty. All right, that's it. All right, guys, we're losing steam. Let's finish this up. I think that's it. I think we're done. Let's make this a little prettier. We're going to drag this over here. We're going to drag all of this over here. Perfect. There we go. We're done. A Temple of Oblivion, a Lich's Phylactery. We did it. Everyone can go into here and use all the ideas in there. Use some of them. Use the ones we chose. Whatever. But I think most importantly, we had a great time brainstorming, and we learned a lot about the refinement step of the process, which is really, really useful. I think the next time we do refinement together, we will do so in a much more educated way, which is great. So, good job. Thank you for sticking around with me. I want to remind you guys that we are here to do collaborative creativity. So it's all about brainstorming together, feeling inspired, having a good time, and coming out with something useful, hopefully. I also want to call out our stream schedule, which is Mondays at 7 Pacific and Fridays at 12 Pacific. So a evening and a sort of lunchtime stream. So join us on Friday at 12 and we will begin a totally new concept. I don't know what that is yet, but if you want to be involved, join the Discord, which I will post a link to right now. There it is. Join the Discord, hop in, and we'll talk about what kinds of things we want to work on. I have a nomination process. Anybody can sort of put ideas forth as to what they want to work on. And from there, we will decide together. So Friday, 12 o'clock, community workshop. Don't forget, be there. I want to hear your ideas. Otherwise, you should feel very proud that we have done a full Temple of Oblivion brainstorm and refinement process. We built our first dungeon, everybody, and that's super cool. I think it's awesome. First time watching and participating, had a lot of fun. Can't wait tonight. Thank you. I'm super happy that you had a good time, people with bad eye. You can check out, the rest of our stuff right here that we've made. Obviously, we're a very new community. We haven't made a lot yet, but everything we've made is super cool. And most importantly, we had a great time and learned a lot while we were doing it. So, thank you so much, guys, for joining me. Thank you so much for giving us your ideas. That is critical, right? If it was just me talking, it would be super lame because I'm only one person. But the fact that you guys come and bring your ideas is what makes this so fucking special and so unique. Nobody else is doing anything like this on Twitch, but we are, and it's super cool. So take it easy. Have a good night or morning, wherever you are. And I will see you on the next stream, Friday at 12 o'clock. Thank you, everybody. See you on Discord.